Let me go across to two women MPs who know why it is important for more representation of women in Parliament. Sushmita Dev is an ex-Rajya Sabha MP. She's also a TMC leader. In fact, Sushmita was a Rajya Sabha MP till a few months ago. Jebi Mather is a member of Parliament from the Congress party. Thank you, ladies, very much for joining us. Sushmita Dev, the buzz around the Women's Reservation Bill is growing. The Prime Minister dropped a hint today. Then you had Jagdeep Dhankar drop a hint when Priyanka Chaturvedi asked him about the Women's Reservation Bill. He said, "Ab nirash mat hoiye." Sushmita Dev, do you think the time has finally come after 26 years of dilly-dallying? Finally, it's time for 33% for the Adhi Abadi?
I think it's long overdue, and no one can deny that. And logically, women have proved through the Panchayati Raj reservations that they're very capable of sitting in important positions of governance. Number two, and very significantly, if you look at the trend of the general elections, and if you look at the trends of several assembly elections, the number of women voters who turn out in these elections are increasingly, the numbers are growing, which means that women are politically getting more and more active, and therefore there is no reason why they shouldn't have a position in important roles of governance, and one of which is in the Assembly and the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. And I think it's also unfortunate because BJP and every party, many parties have made that commitment and promise in their manifesto. But somehow we have not seen this bill being tabled in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And when it was tabled, if you recollect, like you were saying before I came onto the show, there's always been mayhem inside Parliament. But I think to answer your question, women of India are very capable and very ready to enter the Parliament and the assemblies.
You know, the clause, one of the clauses in the bill is that this reservation will be in play for only 15 years. You think that's enough? That's a fair point to make? That 15 years, we reserve 33% seats for women. Post that, once women get a level playing field, that reservation eases out.
Shreya, you see, what is reservation? Reservation is a kind of a affirmative action, okay, for a section of the society who are, for whatever reasons, behind where they should be. So, for instance, we have reservation for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, because every data will show you that they have fallen behind. Similarly, with women, you also can see politically that the number of women who represent, electorates are far lesser than men. Of course, I take great pride in the fact that my leader, Mamata Banerjee, has given 40% women tickets in Bengal, whether it's Lok Sabha or Assembly. But to answer your 15 years question, you see, it is to give some people who've fallen behind, or some sections that have fallen behind, a head start, so they catch up with the rest of the society. So generally, as it was with the scheduled castes and scheduled tribe, when the constitution was written, that was also given for a certain amount of years. But the parliament, in its wisdom, when those amount of years expired, decided that the targets and the goals that were meant to be achieved were not achieved, and it was extended. So similarly, there is no harm in bringing in an affirmative action which has a time limit to it. And what we have seen historically is these time limits can always be reviewed in the backdrop of whether the targets we wanted to achieve have been achieved or not. But I am not totally against any time limit, provided it's reviewed after 15 years.
Sushmita, my final question. Critics will say parliamentary democracy is not just about gender justice. For political parties, it's also important that the candidates that you are putting in the race are winning horses, that they win the constituencies that they are deputed to. I have a statistic here for you. In 1951, there were 43 women contenders for Lok Sabha elections and 24 made it to the House. That is a success rate, Sushmita, of 55%. Cut to 2019, the number of women in the fray had reached 726. Out of those, only 78 were elected, hardly 10%. Does the argument that you can ask women to fight, but for political parties, can that be argument made against the bill by political parties?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I have been there and done that, because I have seen in my experience that
Sushmita, we've lost your audio.
Yes.
Could we... yeah, go ahead. Sushmita, could you begin your answer again, because we had lost your audio for a bit.
Can you hear me, Shreya?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Sushmita. I can, Sushmita. Go ahead.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Sushmita. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so what I was saying, the two very common arguments is, one is that of the strike rate, what you were highlighting. And the second thing is, oh, there's so many women who have come into the Panchayati Raj, but they are like rubber stamps because their husbands run it. Now, let me tell you, Shreya, if you as a very well-known journalist did the similar calculation, the amount of men who lose elections will be much higher if you look at the ratio. So if you look at the male candidates who stand across from different parties and even independent candidates, you will see that enough men also lose within the party, number one. Number two, I can tell you that I have seen many unintelligent men, if I may say so, come sit in parliament or Lok Sabha. Not that I hold anything against them once people elect them. So to say women are rubber stamps is a very biased argument against women. And more significantly, one thing the parties have to be very careful, and that's where, I've been in the Congress and now I'm in the Trinamool. I'll tell you, it is very typical to give women lost seats. We don't have a good candidate here, we are anyway going to lose, so kisi mahila ko yahan ticket de dijiye. That trend has to stop. What Mamata Banerjee has proved in West Bengal is she's brought women from different walks of life in winning seats and put them in assembly and Lok Sabha. So to answer your question, sometimes women are seen losing. Their ratio of women who win are less because often they're given seats which men don't want to contest. And last but not the least, when the Women's Reservation Bill comes in, which is very quickly, I hope, what will happen is, in a seat, whether even if 5 parties contested, Shreya, all 5 will be women. So let's say if in my seat is reserved for women, BJP, Congress, Trinamool, Samajwadi, CPM, RJD, everybody will give a women. So it doesn't matter who wins or who loses. It will be a woman who will go into the parliament. So I hope that answers your question about women standing and losing. Under reservation, it will not happen.
All right. It does answer my question, Sushmita. Thank you very much. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Let me go across to Jebi Mather from the Congress Party, who is joining us as well. Again, a women MP. Jebi, there's a lot of buzz around the Women's Reservation Bill. Do you see it coming? And if it does, if it is introduced on the floor of the House in the special session in the new Parliament, it will be an auspicious beginning. We know that. But would the opposition be ready to give credit to the Prime Minister on this one? After all, this is a bill that has been pending for the last 27 years. At least someone is giving it a push.
See, I can be very clear on one thing, that Congress Party's commitment to reservation to women is unquestionable. If you look, the history has shown that whether it's a reservation in Panchayati Raj by a dream of Rajiv Gandhi, which has been materialized during the period of Narasimha Rao ji, and then the introduction of and passing in Rajya Sabha by UPA, all these have shown that Congress Party's commitment is very clear. Now about the bus and the smoke and the dropping of the hints is concerned, leave this bus. Why can't they be clear? Why, if they are committed, if they have any genuineness in what they have said in their BJP manifesto, they have the numbers. Why don't they just bring it? Why don't they just pass it? Definitely the opposition will will give all the support for this. But instead of doing all that, all these drama of dropping hints and creating a buzz and saying historic decision, let us see it, let us have it, let them do it. Because what we have witnessed all these years of BJP rule and this ruling dispensation, they believe in creating the buzz and not in the reality. So let us have it. Let us have Women Reservation Bill. And we have been urging Congress Working Committee passed resolution yesterday, and also today Mallikarjun Kharge ji has unequivocally said in Parliament in Rajya Sabha that we want the Women Reservation Bill to be passed in this session itself. So it is very clear that Congress Party's commitment to women reservation is 100% positive.
Okay, that I understand. But here's the question. The BJP can very well turn around and ask, where was this commitment, all those years when you were in power? The BJP has been in power for the last 8 years. The allegation you're making is they didn't deliver on their promise, which is the Women's Reservation Bill. The Women's Reservation Bill was also a Congress promise. In the last 27 years, there were enough number of years that the Congress could have pushed through the bill, but you didn't because there was no consensus.
Women Reservation Bill is the brainchild of Congress Party. Let there be no doubt about it. And UPAC history, we have the records in front of us. How did it come to Rajya Sabha? How did it get passed in Rajya Sabha? It was not by BJP. It is by Congress Party and UPA. And due to some issues regarding the clauses, it could not have been brought in Lok Sabha. But the fact is, we have tried because Sonia Gandhi has been very vocal about this, and we have definitely tried, brought and taken steps to bring in reservation. And what about BJP? What have they been doing for these 9 years? They had all the numbers. Have they brought it once? Have any step been taken in these 9 years? And you're questioning us, who has already got it passed in Rajya Sabha? We have done it. We have shown it that we are committed. We have displayed. But why the stoic silence of BJP for the past 9 years? Why nobody is questioning that?
Okay, quick question to you,
Prime
Jebi,
Minister,
before
let them
I
pass
wrap
it.
this
Let
chat.
them pass it in the Parliament.
Well, if it does happen, it will be an auspicious beginning for the new Parliament. The new Parliament will begin on a right note, which is how we want it. But so, here's the question to you, Jebi. There are some members within the alliance who are bound to have problems with the Women's Reservation Bill. They have historically had that problem. For example, the Samajwadi Party. How do you propose to overcome that? Is there going to be an India Alliance meeting if the Women's Reservation Bill is actually tabled on the floor of the House? Is there going to be consensus within the India Alliance, etc.? What's the plan?
I think it's too early to comment on that, because we have not received an official single line on women reservation. Unless we see what it is about, unless we know what it is about, it is like too early to comment. But one thing is very clear. I reiterate the stand that Congress Party stands committed, and we will definitely take every step to convince all our India Alliance as well. But let us have it. Let us see it. Let them bring it. That why do we talk in the air, that without seeing it or without they giving any information about it, other than these clues and these hints Let us have it. Let us see it, and then we will definitely take a stand, but very positive and constructive stand, because we believe that women reservation should be passed and women should have a level playing platform as far as Lok Sabha and state legislatures are concerned, and we are committed to it.
Okay, JB, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. Again, no certainty. Will it happen? Will it not happen? There's a big buzz. The Prime Minister has dropped hints. Mr. Jagdeep Dhampar, the Speaker, has dropped hints as well. There is a cabinet meeting that has started at 6:30. So there are all these signs that the universe is throwing to us. But what is it adding up to is something we are not very clear about. We all can just hope that it's the Women's Reservation Bill. We'll leave it there for the moment, JB. Thank you very much for joining us. On that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's more on the other side. Do stay with us.